PTSD sufferers often have recurring nightmares as well.
Yes.
How do those two kind of correspond?
Well, that's part of the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress is, does someone have nightmares, reoccurring nightmares? And the explanation, generally speaking, in fact, there's probably general agreement across fields, whether it's psychoanalysis or whether it's cognitive behavioural therapy, or whether it's psychodrama or Gestalt.
Yes.
Whatever it happens to be, most people would agree that the dream world or the dream life is an attempt for the individual in their unconscious mind to try and integrate the wounds that have taken place. So there's an natural attempt, once one's been traumatised, to assimilate the trauma, to process the trauma. The trauma has been described as being caught up very much in the right hemisphere of the brain and parts of the body, and wants to process through to the left hemisphere, the verbal.
Yeah.
So there's sort of, the trauma's kept in that part of the system, the amygdala and the right hemisphere, and wants to process. And the dream, when you're sleeping, when you're perhaps dropping your defences somewhat, that's the time it starts to try and reenact the trauma so you can then process it. Unfortunately, because it's so terrifying, sometimes people wake up and they get caught in the loop.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes why they need to do a particular type of journey, sometimes psychotherapy, whatever that happens to, whatever psychotherapy they do utilise. So in psychodrama, you bring the dream out to life and you get people to enact
really
groups. Yes, there's that you in that situation, there's that person over there that's trying to shoot you or stab you or something, or trying to humiliate you, or if it's a rape victim, the same thing. And you bring the various parts out, and we've got a whole lot of chairs over there and cushions. Sometimes, if you're doing one-on-one, you can't, different from groups.
Yes.
Others called auxiliaries to act out. The cushions are the auxiliaries, and that's very powerful to help people integrate that part, and they can then start to process the dream, start to process a lot more.
Wow,
and
that is
their
fascinating.
trauma disappears.
Yes.
Sometimes.
So that's psychodrama.
Psychodrama, very powerful, very powerful. But most of the approaches, it just depends on which one fits what individual.
Yep.
Some people got a very artistic, creative bent, and they can just fall right into psychodrama. Sometimes people that aren't particularly role play orientated are locked into verbal. Sometimes it's useful for them to take them to a bit of creative energy, but not too much, just a bit here and there. So that's all fits into the idea of helping that person process the trauma that might be displayed in the dream world.
So they would come to you, for example, and they would say, I keep having this dream in a roundabout way, because obviously the dream manifests symbols from all different sorts of angles and things. But essentially, this is the plot of the dream always, and then I wake up in a fright. Yeah. Is the idea then to essentially try to change the unconscious from reacting in a fearful way to reacting in a more observational way? Or
yes. So that generally speaking, that's the way to go. You move towards the observation. It's like mindfulness, but in action. Mm-hmm. So in psychodrama, it's called mirroring. So you might have two or three selves at once. So you move a person to a safe place in the present. 2019, and that might have been, the trauma might have happened, say, like in 2015, and you separate the time and the space. So where the trauma is happening, you can see some enactment taking out there, but you can always bring them back to 2019 very quickly if they're overwhelmed. So it's very important to treat carefully with that, because you don't want to overexpose someone to the traumatic material. So there are different views on that. There's a technique, and you might, since you're in the area, you understand prolonged exposure. They sort of take you through the images of the trauma quite confrontingly, and that works for a lot of people. But then for a lot of people that are perhaps even more severe traumatised, not necessarily. So they've got to be sort of more sort of piecemeal, steady, backwards and forwards, build up safety, and just have the trauma at a distance, but they can still process that vicariously. Yes. And Gestalt psychodrama is very powerful for that EMDR